Hey everyone, welcome to today's Take Heart. Hope this finds you doing okay. At a time like this, I find it's hard to make sure that fear doesn't set my agenda for a day, doesn't dictate what's going on in my head, the battle of the mind, and all that. And sometimes that's hard in normal life, but I think at the moment, so many of us, I know I am, are feeling quite weary. We're feeling pretty worn down, and so when we're exhausted already emotionally, when we're already emotionally stressed and tired, it's I think we're more susceptible to fear having a hold on us. It becomes harder to resist it. Whereas perhaps on a normal day in a typical season of life, we'd be a bit more robust. And so for me, I've been just trying to almost reorientate myself as much as I can. And I do it better some days than other days. But I've been asking myself 4 questions. And these 4 questions for me have been helpful. Imagine if someone's thrown you down the well, right? Hopefully that's never going to happen. But someone throws you down a well and you're there with these sort of smooth sides. You've got to climb out. And I find these questions to be like rungs nailed into the wall that give me a little handhold to help me climb back out again from the fear well. And here's rung number 1. The question is, what are my priorities? What are my priorities? They're questions I hope that could reorientate us at the start of a day, perhaps at the end of a day, midweek. First one is what are my priorities? And Jesus says in Matthew chapter 6, verse 32, "So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." What I love about Jesus is he doesn't say just stop worrying about stuff. He says instead of chasing those things, put this in the center, which is my kingdom, which is really for us to put him and his will at the center of our lives. The reason I ask that question, what are my priorities, is because I find I'm chasing things, not necessarily what I'm going to eat and what I'm going to wear. But for me, so much of the stress and the fear in my life comes from pursuing things that I'm not really sure I need to chase. So people's approval is a big one, wanting to please people, wanting to be in control of everything, wanting to prove myself, to prove to people that I'm some kind of big deal, or I am someone, I am something. And trying to control other people and what they're doing and how they are. I can spend so much energy doing that, and none of that is what Jesus is asking me to do. And I wonder if there's a danger thing, we've got to put Jesus at the center. It sounds like that can be like, here's a long to-do list. But when he's at the center, what that means is at the center is grace and compassion. And yes, commands, but along with the commands, the Spirit to enable us to obey those commands. And we just can't lose because he is so kind. All these other things, what they end up doing ultimately is enslaving us. And where Jesus leads us is, of course, to freedom. So to just pause, maybe at the beginning or an end of a day, and just say, look, what are my priorities? Are they lining up with what he said to me, which is to put him at the center? Is the goal of my day to do all this other stuff, or is it just to please you? And what is it that you're asking me to do? Does my agenda line up with what you're asking of me? And I find that when we do this, it's a way of allowing Jesus, not fear, to set the direction of the day. I find if I aim to have a day that's empty of worry, it doesn't usually work. But if I aim to have a day that's full of Jesus, I get peace thrown in with it. What are my priorities? Second question that I've been asking is, am I living in the present? Am I living in the present? And the answer to that a lot of the time is, no, I'm living in whenever this is going to finish. That's where my head is. But Jesus says this, or I'm living in all the horrible things that might happen tomorrow. Jesus says, Matthew chapter 6, verse 34, "Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." In other words, I think what he's saying is, be now, be in the today, and shift your attention from all these things that you can't control anyway to what's going on right now that you can affect. And again, I don't think I'm alone in this, but I can find I spend huge amounts of my emotional energy, certainly of my mental capacity or thoughts, just stressing about all these things that really I have no way of knowing whether they're going to happen, and I can't control them anyway. And just to take a breath, to pause and to ask myself, what are those things I can actually do? Why don't I put my energy into those things instead of all this other stuff I find to be helpful? Here's a third question, a third little rung as we're climbing out the well of fear. Am I praying about this? Am I praying about this? And I always need to qualify that because every time I say something like that, I feel, not that you would feel this, but I can feel, oh, that's so super spiritual. And what that shows is, man, I haven't got it yet. The power of prayer and the impact it makes, the difference it makes, because of the difference that God makes. And a verse that I've come to often throughout this time has been 1 Peter 5 verse 7, where Peter says, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. And there is no request we can bring to him that is too great for his power, and there is no request we can bring to him that is too small for his fatherly care. We can get through these days, and we can get through them one prayer at a time, one simple request at a time, bringing them to him. And what I've tried to do, and again, some days I don't manage it very well, but what I've tried to do is to give my worries to him, give my fears to him. Sometimes what happens is I take them back off him about half an hour later, and I carry on stressing about them, and then I have to try and give them back to him. But am I praying about these things, or am I just sitting and stewing in them? And what can happen when we begin to focus on this is that those fears become opportunities for closeness. They become opportunities for being near to our God. Think of it a little like a child climbing up into the lap of their parent because they're afraid of something. Every time, one of my kids gets scared by something, they run to me. First place they come. It's an opportunity for us to do something a bit like that, to come straight to him and to kind of hold him close and allow him to hold us. Sometimes what can cause us to hesitate is we're not sure God's up for that kind of relationship. Somewhere deep inside us, we don't always believe that that's what he wants, but that's just because we haven't understood yet, I think, the gospel and the reliability of our Father. How do you feel when someone you love turns to you in need? When someone you really care about, one of your best friends, or a member of your family perhaps, when they say, I really need to lean on you, I really need you. I don't know about you, but when somebody does that for me, there's something in me that rises up, and I'm like, great, I'm glad you think you can come to me. I am here to help. If there's anything I can do, I've got your back. You don't need to worry, and this is why I'm here. I love it when people who I really care about feel like they can lean on me and that I'm here for them. I suspect you probably feel the same way. How then do we think God, who is infinite in his goodness, who is the Father, the Heavenly Father, the perfect Father, who knows our name and numbers the hairs on our head, how do you think he reacts when we say, I need to lean on you? Oh, no, you can't do that. You need to be independent. You need to go this alone. You need to try harder. Do you think that's his response? Or do you think his response is, great, wonderful, that's why I'm here. I love it when you lean on me. Jesus he describes himself as gentle and humble in heart. He is so incredibly kind. He wants us to lean on him. And so at the start of a day that feels like, oh my word, here we go again. I'm not saying your days do feel like that, but a lot of mine do at the moment. Here we go again. What about, instead of that as an approach, being like, okay, this is looking like it's going to be a tough day. So right there, I've got all this opportunity to pursue him and to be close to him and to lean on him, knowing that he loves it when I do that. Am I praying about this? Am I just chatting to him about it and asking him for help? And here's the fourth and the final little rung. that I always find to be important. Asking myself, who am I processing this with? Who am I processing this with? God puts us in a family, the church, for a reason. And one of my favourite proverbs is Proverb chapter 18, verse 24, that says, "One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." Who is that person for you? Who are you processing this with? Just a few days ago, I was having a pretty bad day. I texted Mike and I said, "Hey mate, I'm feeling really low. Can you give me a ring?" So he gave me a ring. We chatted for about, 15 minutes. I just vented about all my frustrations and all my fears, and he just listened. And then I put the phone down and I felt a lot better. We're not made to do this alone. Who am I processing this with? Hope that helps. We are praying for you. We love you. You're not on your own. Let's keep going. See ya.